Good afternoon. My name is Meg Sneed, and I am the Acting Secretary for the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services. Over the last 18 months, we have all experienced the instability, anxiety, and dangers of a global pandemic. Every single one of us has been adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic in some way, but those impacts have not been evenly distributed among us. Tens of thousands of Pennsylvanians were forced to choose between putting food on the table, paying rent and/or childcare, and keeping their families safe at a time when social distancing was critical. When the pandemic began, eviction bans were established to help people stay safely housed if they were unable to pay rent due to lost jobs or reduced hours connected to COVID. A recent study found that as many as 400,000 Pennsylvania households could be at risk of eviction when the moratorium ends. That's 1 in every 5 households in Pennsylvania. This was especially true in communities of color, which have not only suffered higher rates of COVID-19, but have disproportionately experienced economic hardships and adverse mental health effects due to the pandemic. The federal moratorium on evictions was a reprieve to keep people safe and housed through the worst of these, but we must act now and make sure people know of a critical resource available to help. The Emergency Rental Assistance Program, or ERAP, is available now to rental households who meet certain income thresholds and who were unable to make rental payments due to lost jobs or income directly related to COVID-19. In addition, landlords are also able to apply to make up for back rent that a tenant could not pay because of the pandemic. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC's eviction moratorium, has been in place during the pandemic but is slated to come to an end on July 31st, or the beginning of next week. Across the Commonwealth, in all 67 counties, ERAP can help people who have been adversely affected by the pandemic pay past due or upcoming rent and utility costs, or can be used to rehouse families or individuals who have been displaced due to the pandemic. This program was deliberately designed to help people dig out of what may be some very big financial holes by helping tenants with direct financial assistance to cover past due or upcoming rent and utility payments. For tenants and landlords experiencing hardship, this program can be the intervention that helps them get back on track. It can help landlords settle unpaid bills and/or upcoming rental costs and provide stability for both tenants and landlords alike by keeping people housed and providing a sense of financial security. ERAP can also assist with housing costs for people who are experiencing homelessness or are in need of resources to find and pay for stable housing. To qualify for assistance, an applicant must be responsible for paying rent on a residential property, and 1 or more people within the household must have experienced financial hardship due directly or indirectly to the COVID-19 pandemic that puts them at risk of homelessness. They also have to meet certain income thresholds that vary by county. But regardless of whether or not you believe you're eligible, please apply for ERAP anyway. Applications are being processed by all 67 counties, and your county will work to determine your eligibility as quickly as possible. The application process for ERAP varies by county, and our partners here in York will share more information about how York County residents can apply, but all Pennsylvanians can also visit www.dhs.pa.gov/ERAP to learn how to apply, regardless of where you live. Residential tenants may apply for themselves, or a landlord may apply on behalf of a current tenant. While we hope that landlords and tenants will use this program as an opportunity to collaboratively settle unpaid rent, landlords do not have to agree to participate in the program for tenants to receive assistance. Tenants should apply even if their landlord is unwilling to participate. Regardless of who applies, if the tenant is eligible, then both tenant and landlord benefit. With an average benefit of about $6,000 per household, ERAP can make a big difference in providing security and settling unpaid balances that affect both renters and landlords alike. ERAP is an unprecedented investment in stability, well-being, and economic recovery for tenants, landlords, and utility providers, as well as entire communities across the Commonwealth. It is an opportunity to prevent a wave of evictions that will create yet another crisis that could persist well beyond the pandemic. If you or someone you know is at risk of eviction, I urge you not to wait until the end of the month when the moratorium is slated to come to an end. Start your application today and let ERAP help. Again, don't wait or delay. ERAP is here to help, but it can't do that unless you apply. Thank you again for joining us today, and I'd now like to introduce President and CEO of the Community Progress Council, Robin. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Secretary. It's wonderful to have you here today and so many other elected officials and dignitaries from York County. We very much appreciate your visit to Community Progress Council. Before I move on, I think I want to recognize so many people who are here in the audience today. Folks from York County Planning Commission, from Healthy York, the United Way, Bell Next Door program, and many other, the Economic Alliance is also here. And I think it's important to recognize that the reason these folks are here is because they understand that if folks become homeless because of this pandemic, the entire economy of our community will suffer. Many families will suffer, people will be separated. And this is the time that we need to address this issue. And so, as the Secretary mentioned, please, if you have not started your application for rental assistance, please do that. If you need utility assistance, please start that application today. In addition to thanking the community folks who are here and the elected officials and community leaders, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the staff at Community Progress Council. We have about 225 rock stars that work for our organization. These men and women have been working tirelessly to keep people in York County housed, and I'm tremendously proud of the work that we're doing. Is it enough? Probably not. There are lots of folks who are still struggling and still need help. But I do want to recognize that the team at Community Progress Council has been hitting it out of the park every day. We've helped nearly 3,000 families in York County to remain sheltered and to pay their utility bills. That helps, thank you. That helps not only that tenant, but it helps a small business owner who is a landlord. It helps municipalities who are providing utilities to people in our community. It also helps big utility companies. This is stabilizing our economy. So again, don't be shy, ask for help. Let's get your bills paid, let's keep you housed, and let's keep companies functioning. When I mentioned that we helped nearly 3,000 families in York County, that equates to $8 million that we've put out into the community. And there's more. There's more money that can be distributed. So please ask for help. How do you do that? We tried to make that as simple as possible by creating a website a portal that you can go to apply for assistance. If you go to yorkcpc.org, again, yorkcpc.org, you will find information about the Rent and Utility Assistance Program. You can click on a link and start an application. If you have trouble managing a website or the internet, then please schedule an appointment with someone at Community Progress Council. We have hours every day to help people here to filling out applications. We also have 20 partners in our community who are helping us to complete applications. Those partners are all over York County, Northern York County, Southern York County, Hanover, all over the place. So please ask for help. Those partners are listed on our website as well. Our website, in addition to giving you access to the application, has extensive information about what you need to apply. Please, please, please review that information before you start your application. If you start your application with all of those materials in hand, it will go much, much smoother and quicker. So please, in addition to that, we would encourage you strongly, if you are behind on your rent, if you are behind on your utilities, reach out to your landlord and your utility company. Let them know that you've applied for emergency rent assistance or emergency utility assistance, And please ask them to hold off on shutting you off of your utility or kicking you out of your home. We're working very hard to try and create partnerships so that we can help you on a larger scale as well. I want to end by saying that rent and utility assistance will create a bit of a cushion for folks. It will allow them an initial period of stability. But when you become so far behind on your bills, things begin to snowball. And so for folks who didn't live in poverty before, this could be the issue that puts them into poverty. I would very strongly encourage anyone who has applied for rent assistance, utility assistance, or is going to make contact with Community Progress Council and ask to set up a meeting with one of our coaches to help you. We have so much more than just rent and utility assistance. We do housing education, budget counseling, workforce development, early childhood education, supplemental nutrition programs. Our job at Community Progress Council today is to help you get through this crisis situation and to help you make it through tomorrow and the next 6 months and the next year and the next 10 years in a way that you never have to struggle again. So please, this is a step in the right direction. Keep your journey going and let us help you get to self-sufficiency. Thanks for the time today. I'm going to turn it over now to Julie Wheeler. She's the President Commissioner for York County. And as Julie's walking up, I just want to say thank you to her and to the Department of Human Services for their confidence in Community Progress Council and allowing us to operate this program. Thank you, Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you, Robin. I just wanted to acknowledge I'm here with my colleague, Vice President Commissioner Hoke, and we're also joined by Claire Dahl, who is the Director of our Human Services Department. So I'm glad they were able to join me today. I also want to say thank you to Acting Secretary Sneed, Robin Rohrball, and Jess Mockapee, and also the teams at the State Department of Human Services, Community Progress Council, and I cannot forget the York County Human Services Department for their diligence and dedication to facilitating the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Reflecting back on my school days, which were a little further distant than I want to stand up here and say today, but when I reflect back on those, I remember studying Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Self-actualization at the pinnacle of the pyramid, and at the base of the pyramid were the basic needs of food and shelter. And those needs are exactly what the Emergency Rental Assistance Program was designed to address. The pandemic impacted all facets of our community. As its effects spread rapidly across the country, so did the economic impact. As a community and a county, it is quintessential government to assist those basic need provisions of our populace. As leaders, we cannot turn a blind eye to those in need. The ERAP and funding, simply put, saved lives. It provided some measure of stability during very tumultuous times. Funding was directed to landlords and the utility companies, so it went for the purposes of what it was intended. With the increase in job openings in our community, I am really optimistic that many of those individuals who lost jobs during the pandemic will now be able to go back to work and enter the workforce, providing financial stability for those basic needs of food and shelter. Recognizing that we still have a lot of residents who are struggling with rent and utility payments and may not have applied for assistance, there is still funding available. I think you've heard that from Acting Secretary Sneed as well as Robin. Therefore, I want to put my reminder out to individuals that there remains money for assistance, and it's appropriate to apply for help if you need it. And really, it is okay to ask for help. Organizations such as the Community Progress Council, York County Human Services Department were on the front lines, tasked with adapting quickly to meet the demand for support. They worked tirelessly to ensure our neighbors had a roof over their heads and a home to shelter in place. Today is a day to pause and a day to say thank you to all of those who helped us get to this day, saving families and lives along the way. On behalf of York County government, we are grateful for the leadership of Robin Rohrball and her team at the Community Progress Council, as well as the team at the York County Human Services Department, to provide the most basic, but perhaps the most vital of human needs in this time of crisis. So thank you, and it gives me my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Representative Cara Hill Evans.
Good afternoon, everyone. The good thing about being fourth is that if you didn't hear it the first, second, or third times, you get another opportunity. So, good afternoon, and thank you to Acting Secretary Sneed, to community activists, and all those in attendance for inviting me to highlight such an important initiative for our community and Commonwealth as a whole. The past months have tested us in ways that previously we never would have even imagined. A vital part of many Pennsylvania families' quality of life is a place to call home, make cherished memories, and rest at the end of a hard day's work. Sadly, through no fault of their own, many families have had this sanctity of shelter and financial security become threatened through a multitude of reasons that seemed implausible even before this worldwide pandemic. I'm proud that our community has shown such resiliency through so many different partnerships in the face of extreme hardship. As we continue getting closer to the light at the end of the tunnel, we must be cognizant that certain federal protections will be expiring. Just a little background about the program. The Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 included funding for states to establish emergency rental assistance programs. Pennsylvania received approximately $569 million to administer assistance to renters, landlords, and utility providers who have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and economic insecurity. On February 5th of 2021, Governor Wolf signed Senate Bill 109 into law, which officially designated the Department of Human Services as the agency overseeing administration of the Emergency Rental Program, ERAP, for the 49 counties that did not receive direct allocations. The CDC moratorium on evictions is set to expire on July 31st of this month, which is why I am here to speak to you all today to share this time-sensitive information about the ERAP that our Commonwealth is providing. This program aims to help Pennsylvania renters and landlords ease the financial burdens caused by the pandemic through assistance with rent, utilities such as gas, electric, oil, and sewer, and most importantly, the security of shelter for our families. ERAP is here to provide the home security so many families need at this moment. However, you must take action now to apply for this crucial program before the fast approaching deadline. The last day to apply, as we know now, is July 31st. In the next several days, I implore you and your families to apply online through the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services webpage, which you will find linked on my social media. And I encourage you to reach out to my staff or me following today's event. We are always happy to help in any way we can to assure the constituents of the 95th Legislative District and the Commonwealth as a whole, so that you can get the much helpful information regarding the specifics of this and any other state program and what bills and expenses are eligible for assistance. Through our informed staff and the resources provided from the Commonwealth, we hope to expedite your application process in a streamlined and painless manner. Applying to this program is easier than you think, with much of the information needed to supplement your application, as the acting secretary spoke before. Although we have experienced collective hardship as a community, as a Commonwealth, as a nation, I believe there's a silver lining even during our darkest moments. The pandemic has forced everyone, each one of us, to refocus our perspective on what is truly important in life, such as community, family, and mostly security in housing. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to share this information, and I look forward to better, healthier, and more secure days that are undoubtedly on the horizon. And with that, I say thank you to each of you. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'd like to introduce the Mayor of York City, Mayor Helfrich.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank Acting Secretary Sneed and all of my colleagues for allowing me to be here today with you. I just want to make one very important statement and a correction. The deadline is not July 31st to apply. We are encouraging people, that's when it's actually, the program's actually starting, but we are encouraging people to apply now. So don't panic, but get it done. While we have been in unprecedented, and how many times have we used that word now in the last year and a half, unprecedented crisis, always crisis brings opportunity. And I think it's so important right now that that we make sure that everyone, especially those that can use the help the most, take advantage of the opportunities, the unprecedented opportunities that have come out of the unprecedented crisis. And I want to thank particularly Community Progress Council, because as Robin said, this is not about handing you some money to get some rent or to pay your utilities. They have a full operation here of how to uplift people. Uplift people. York is one of the poorest communities in the entire Commonwealth. We have an opportunity now to uplift people and get them on a path of self-sufficiency. We need to make sure that we take advantage of that. The city has been committed already with rental assistance over $100,000 in 2020 and about $140,000 this year. And we also still have over $270,000 of our own funds to contribute. So we are still looking, and not all of those funds require the same issues regarding COVID-caused loss of revenue. So if you look at this, and even if, and as Robin said, don't worry about evaluating yourself. Just come on in. That's what all these folks are here to do, is to help you work through it. So we've got more money. We want to make sure, and again, how often do you hear the mayor say that? We've got money, and we want to give it to you. Take advantage of this, please, please. We're currently hiring 2 new positions in our Human Relations Commission to make sure that we have an additional counselors, housing counselors, that can direct you to all the different organizations that are providing the services. We're not trying to do everybody's work, but we are going to hire a couple more people to help communicate and direct people. So if you need a job and you're interested in helping people, please check out the yorkcity.org website and look for 2 of our housing and eviction counselor positions that we are actually hiring right now. In addition, the community ecosystem coordinator, something that I set up to actually connect people in their houses with the wonderful services that are provided throughout York County, but don't always get to those people. We set this up to create that link, to create that network of communication. COVID has devastated this idea because the whole idea is to go door to door and find out how your neighbors are and how many people wanted to answer their door for the last year and a half. But right now, it is time, again, to open your door with your mask on, because we do know that Delta's coming back. It's coming back strong, so let's be careful. But it's time to open your door and find out what services we can help you get. There aren't any excuses right now. This is the most money that's been put forward to help individuals and families in this century and in most of last century, probably since Roosevelt, that we've been trying to actually lift up folks, and it's your opportunity right now. So we are also going to be going door to door with the little Apple iPads and making sure that you can get signed up that way. Because while we gave out a lot of websites and a lot of good information, not everybody out here is getting this information or has the computer or the computer literacy to make sure that they apply. So we're going to be sending folks out into the neighborhoods to make sure that they're getting that information, as well as something that I hope everybody here will help me get more of the word out, the Child Tax Credit Program. This is free money right now that can uplift families all throughout York County. I think the limit on is like $200,000, something really high, that you can get money for your children, free money. This is the time to lift up yourself and lift up your family. So I want to thank everybody again, and you can reach out directly to the City of York. You can reach out directly to any of the agencies here, whether it's the Department of Human Services at the state, or it's Community Progress Council, or it's Carol Hill Evans' office, or Commissioner Wheeler's office. We are all here to help you. This is the time to accept the help. So I hope to hear from you. Thank you.
I will just make one additional clarification. The July 31st deadline is when the moratorium is expected to be lifted. So the ERAP program is up and running in all 67 counties. It has been since March. There's no time limit at the moment for when somebody can apply, but the 31st just marks the end of the eviction moratorium, not the end of the ERAP program. And now I'm happy to take any questions.
Could you give us a sense of maybe you should ask folks alongside you, but what parts of your county have been the greatest recipients, greatest number of recipients for this program?
We've distributed money throughout York County to every zip code of York County. Certainly those communities with a higher population density have benefited in the more numbers of assistance, people getting assistance.
And one last question of clarification. I think you said that landlords didn't have to agree. I thought they did have to agree.
In York County at this point, we are asking for landlords to agree and support the application for assistance. We have gone so far as to do some outreach to landlords to encourage their cooperation, and that's how we're proceeding at this point.
But do they have to agree?
At this point, yes.
I will clarify that's not true in the majority of the states. So we are encouraging to the greatest extent possible that landlords and tenants collaboratively agree on how to settle unpaid rent balances. But it varies by county in terms of how they're administering it, but it is not a federal requirement that the landlord has to agree in order for the tenant to be eligible.
Did you disclose how much money York County actually got for this program?
York County was a direct recipient of the dollar.
13 million and then 17 in the federal allocation.
So, yeah, DHS is administering the program on behalf of 47 counties. 18 counties and the city of Pittsburgh received a direct allocation from the federal government as well as a portion of the Commonwealth's funding. But from my perspective, when a renter or comes forward in need of assistance, whether that be rent or utilities, it's not their concern whether that dollar is state or federal, but really what we want people to know is if you or someone you know is in need of rental assistance, we want eviction to be the absolute last resort at this point. There's enough money in the emergency rental and utility assistance space to ensure that nobody is evicted as a result of COVID if they meet the income thresholds.
I had one person ask me, does trash bills, if you're behind, qualify under the program?
I believe so, yes.
Can you talk about the impact this could have come, Saturday, if people haven't signed up?
Yeah, so the program will continue to be available, and we would encourage anybody, even if they're not really feeling the pinch of an eviction until after the 31st, to come forward at that point anyway. We've been doing everything we can to ensure that as many people are aware of the program and applying ahead of the moratorium expiring, but we're obviously, I think for a lot of people, they're not necessarily feeling the financial pressure that might exist in the next couple of weeks. There are some really innovative programs around the state that help divert people away from the eviction process. So we encourage counties to look at what other counties are doing and replicate programs like that. Like I said, we're really trying to just take an all hands on deck approach to prevent a mass wave of evictions and resulting homelessness that could come from the moratorium expiring. And I will just say again, the average benefit that we're seeing per household is about $6,000. So really meaningful assistance that can go a long way to helping people dig out of some really big holes.
May I say something?
Please.
So you ask about evictions and what would happen on the 31st. A legal eviction requires notification to the tenant, a certain period of time for them to remedy the problem, and then a district magistrate hearing. So I think it's very important for tenants and landlords to understand that there is a process. It does not mean that on July 31st, if people have not gone through the legal processes, that they can open the doors and kick someone out. So I just want to make sure that we're doing everything above board.
I was